Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Let me see if I have audio. Let me see if the audio is okay. Check, mic check. That sounds good. Okay. I can turn that off. All right, Twitch. Twitch is coming in. Here we go. Twitch is coming in. Facebook is coming in. LinkedIn. Of course, YouTube is coming through. That's all working. Let me do one final check to see if we are okay here. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. For what it is, for this special home edition of my Q&A for DJs. I'm your host, DJ TLM. It's Monday. It's time for Share the Knowledge right here on DJ TLM TV. This time from the home office, not the studio. And we're going to wait for a sec for people to come in. Normally, I'll have my 5-minute countdown. I didn't have anything like that installed here. So for those of y'all tuning in for the first time, maybe you're already watching. I do this weekly Q&A on Monday. It's a Q&A show for DJs. You can ask me any DJ-related questions. And the whole purpose of the Share the Knowledge podcast live stream is to share knowledge. And it's not just a one direction thing. I learn a lot from questions people ask. I learn a lot from answers that I see in the chat when people are answering the questions that I don't know the answer to. So that's a good thing. So as we wait for the people to come in, now you know what the deal is. And Share the Knowledge is one of the shows that I have on my DJ TLM TV / Creates Radio platform. DJ TLM TV is all about education for DJs. So I have my YouTube channel with tons of videos, over 600 videos, scratch tutorials, mix tutorials, answering questions, you name it, product reviews. That happens on my YouTube channel, DJ TLM TV. And then I do a ton of live stuff as well. That's where Creates Radio comes in. I do 2 weekly mix shows and this weekly Q&A show. The mix shows are only available on Twitch and Mixcloud. The Q&A goes out to YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X. All right, let me see. Just to double check to see if everything is coming through. And like I said, we don't have the 5-minute countdown, so I guess we have to wait a minute for people to get the notifications on Twitch and the other platforms. So Twitch is not even showing me activity yet. What's going on, Twitch? And Kato, I see you. Welcome on YouTube, that is. What is happening to Twitch? Okay, so Twitch is active. I can see it here on my restream. And we're good to go on the other platforms. Okay. So at least it's working. And for those of you tuning in for the first time, if you're tuning in for the first time, Gons, what's going on? If you're tuning in for the first time, this setup right here, this background might not be familiar to you. Or actually, if this is your first time tuning in, you might think this is the normal background. Normally, I do my shows from the studio. Today, I'm coming in from the home office. This was my best option for the live stream today because it meant that I didn't have to travel. I was a little bit short on time. And in this case, I actually have my main camera here. That's what I'm using to stream right now. I've attempted a live stream from this space before, using a webcam over Wi-Fi, and that was a terrible experience. That did not go well at all. Video trouble, just connection trouble, audio trouble, nothing seemed to work. Today I'm using cabled internet, so the connection should be steady as can be, and I'm not using a webcam. I'm using my main YouTube camera. I had this camera on me because yesterday I was DJing at a dance battle. I live streamed from there as well. That's why I had the camera gear with me. And some of you may have tuned in during the day. It was the event itself was cool. The stream is probably a little bit, how can I call it? If you just tuned in yesterday and you had no idea what was going on, it was probably a little bit confusing. Because you have to imagine, if you go somewhere and you live stream your set, all you have to do is make sure you get your audio from your DJ set into whatever you use to stream. Now, in my case, I brought my A10 Mini Pro. That's a video switcher that you can use for live streaming. And all I needed there was an Ethernet cable, and I can stream from the A10 Mini Pro. The audio from my set can go into the A10 Mini. The video feed goes into the A10 Mini, and then you can live stream. If you're only streaming your own set, that's perfectly fine. Now, in this case, I wasn't alone. There were actually 3 DJs in total, me being one of them. I was using my Rev 7. The other 2 DJs were playing on a CDJ set right next to me. I thought initially that I was going to play like an hour set and then later on another hour set, or first do an hour set and then DJ during the battles. And it turned out that we were basically going back to back 15-minute sets. Now, that's perfectly fine for the DJing aspect, but for the streaming, I did 15 minutes. Then the next DJ came on. I was already streaming. And when the DJ started, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That audio is not going into my stream right now. Only my Rev 7 is going into the stream. Luckily, I was able to fix that straight away. So I took the main output from the DJM mixer from their setup, sent that to the A10 Mini, and I just had another RCA cable. So my Rev 7 went into a channel on that DJM 900. So now both sets were going into the stream. That's why it's also, point of the story, so useful to make sure you have a bit of knowledge of equipment and that you make sure that you always bring stuff like cables. So in this case, I needed an RCA cable, a pretty long RCA cable, to connect my Rev 7 to the other set. Now, I had that in the bag, no problem. So you can fix a little situation like that. So the audio from the DJs would come in to the stream. The only issue is there were also MCs. They were hosting the event, but they were also announcing the battles, because it started out with some dance ciphers and then it went into actual battles. So you have the MCs that announce who's battling who, and that audio was not coming into my set. That's going through the main PA system, so that's not me. So if you tuned into the stream yesterday and you had no idea what was going on, you might hear music, and then when it's time for the MCs to announce something, we cut the music, but the people watching the stream don't hear the MCs. So now all of a sudden your stream is silent. So yeah, for the next time, if I'm doing this again and there's another dance battle where I am the resident DJ and I will stream there next time, I'm gonna find a runaround for this so that I can just have all of the audio coming in through one cable that I can send to my stream so that you can have the full experience. And I'm going to also bring an extra mic that I'm going to set up so you can actually hear the audience response, stuff like that. I think it adds to a live stream where you're live streaming like a dance battle. So it was a lot of fun, though. It's always cool to just be able to play the tunes you want to play, give them some energy, and watch the people dance to it. They had kids. After that, we had adults. And yeah, always a blast. DJ Six is in the building. Ricardo's in the building from Halifax, Canada. So welcome to y'all. And I have to open my Instagram real quick. I posted that I was going live today and told people that they could leave questions there. Most of the time you don't, but let me just check just in case, because if I ask for questions, then I got to make sure that I actually check if there are questions. Funny thing is, most people just don't like to post questions. They rather just ask me in person or through a live stream, but mostly through DMs, which is perfectly fine, and I understand. Maybe you remember back in the days, maybe you were someone like this as well. You were in class and you didn't quite understand something, but still you were afraid to ask a question. A lot of people have that feeling. I see the same thing in live streams. Like, certain people will be in the live streams, but they rather ask the question in private because somehow they feel maybe a bit of shame because they feel it's something they should have known, or they feel silly asking a question. Let me just put that out there for you right now. First off, there are hardly any dumb questions. And if you have a question, you are most likely not the only person who has that question. That's also what's great about something like this. If I answer a question, most likely I'm not just answering it for you. More people can benefit from that answer. The same way, like I see answers in the chat sometimes, and I learn from those answers. And I know other people in the chat reading the chat will learn from that as well. So it's all about learning from each other. So Mac Joseph, yes, I don't do a lot of dance battles. I'm the resident for one, Raw Essence. I've been the one of the resident DJs there for the last, I think, 7 years. I do the hip hop category there. So for that dance battle, they have a house category, hip hop, and freestyle, where anything goes. And the organizer specifically asked for me for that battle because he told me in that whole dance scene, the dance battle scene, in the last whatever 5-10 years, the hip hop category somehow lacks hip hop music. And I noticed that as well when I see clips online. A lot of times when I see clips now where they're basically doing hip hop type dances, a lot of times they'll do it over different type of music, which is perfectly fine. It's cool, like certain type of electronic music or just anything with a heavy beat and some expressive sounds in there. They'll use that for their routine. That's dope. Then again, if you're in a hip hop category, it would be dope to also have, especially the newer generation, learn to dance to actual hip hop music. There's one thing I need to do right now. I want to do it while I'm here with you. I'm going to send my oldest son a message right now. And that's because I can hear that he just walked in, to let him know that he doesn't have his cabled internet. That's going to be a surprise for him. He's not going to be too happy with that because gaming over Wi-Fi doesn't go that well. But hey, we're not going to make this I'm not going to be streaming for like 2 hours today. We're just going to have a nice little Q&A session. But let me just let him know that real quick. Meanwhile, as you see on the other screen right there, I uploaded a new Saturday sessions video this Saturday. So if you're into scratching or you're learning how to scratch, okay, I don't have to send him the rest of the message. He already knows I'm busy and using his cable. So I'll just let him know just for a while. All right. Hey, man, sometimes you have to. All right, quickly, let me get in here. We have DJ Favor coming through with that sub on Twitch. I see you. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's when it comes to the dance battles, that's what I do there. I do the hip hop category, and I just really play a lot of hip hop tunes there. This one yesterday was the same organizer with another event organizer. So this was a different battle. Concept was a little bit different, but a lot of fun to do. DJ Anir in the building all the way from Miami. Good to see you. Burner is here. And Burner just bought the Pioneer S11. Cost me an arm and a leg, but I can't wait for it to arrive. That's the S11. That's like, for me, like the ultimate scratch mixer. An absolute beast. Hopefully I'll have one back in the studio in the near future. But yeah, man. What if there were turntables that receive USB sticks like CDJ 3000s? That could be a cool concept indeed. Yes. So basically, like for instance, now with the Cross 12, Pioneer's Cross 12, that is an actual turntable, but it can also be used as a controller. Maybe a next step up would be to also have the standalone functionality to add flash drives to it. So, I mean, I'd use it. That would be dope. What else is here? Let me get to Gons first. With the new addition of breakdancing to the Olympics, was there any commentary at your event for the Olympic preparation? No, but the especially the event where I was yesterday. I mean, some of the dancers there that were like judges are of a higher caliber, but the level was not that high. It's not like the quote unquote pros were there. And a lot of kids were totally not focused on that at all. So I did not hear anything about it. Now, maybe dancers amongst each other talked about it. I didn't see a lot of B-boys yesterday either. So I don't know. Good evening, W. Good to see you. And we got DJ Zondon, DJ Rich Dog. What's good on Facebook? William, good to see you. All the way from Brazil. And Rich Dog, I'm still using my Pioneer S9 mixer. Hey, the S9 mixer is still a very, very capable mixer. I still have my S9. I would say, so the S9 came out first, followed by the S11. The S11, you can't totally compare it because it just is kind of a step up with that screen, but not just the screen. It came with some extra functionality that was missing from the S9, even though when the S9 came out, that's not something I or a lot of people were thinking about. So for instance, with the pad modes, the fact that on the S9, you switch pad modes, but when you choose a pad mode, that's what you use on all the performance pads. And with the S11 and later with the S7, it's actually divided. So your pad mode or pads on the right deck can be set to hot cues, but you can choose to have the left one on samples. Stuff like that is a little bit different, a little bit upgraded, so to say. But if that's not something that's most important to you, the S9 is still a beast. Let's see. Gertjan Senten. I used to DJ a lot in the late 80s and into the 90s in clubs, constantly reading the audience. I'm surprised how DJs prepare a set not knowing if the crowd will like it. What is better? So that's a great question. I can't say if there's a better. Personally, for me, I don't prepare sets. I play freestyle. I really go off the crowd. I think that the best thing to do would be to be able to play freestyle. So to really master reading the crowd. But if you also want to incorporate prepared parts, I think that would probably make the set the dopest. Now, it also depends. If you're playing a gig and you know exactly what the audience is going to be like, in that case, you could prepare a set. So, for instance, let's say I'm going to get booked to play 90s or 80s and 90s hip hop party. I know for a fact that if that's how it's going to be promoted and we're going to have like the 30, 40, 50-year-olds in there, I know what they like. In that case, I could prepare a set knowing like for 99.9% it's going to work because I'm going to be playing all the tracks that they like, know, and want to hear at an event like that. Now, if it's a more all-round thing or just like a commercial venue where you get like tourists in and people who like all sorts of stuff, most likely they want you to play very commercial. But I would want to be able to check to see what type of crowd is here tonight. And a prepared set I think that could be a disadvantage. And I've seen DJs come in with prepared sets, play for a crowd that was not really what that set would work for, and then see them bomb if they didn't adjust. And I've seen DJs do that. They had a set and they just stuck to the set. If I ever have a prepared set and I go somewhere and I can tell that the crowd is not feeling that, because I know how to play freestyle, I can adjust and switch, and I would switch right away. Like, okay, let's say I'm 4 tracks into my set and the crowd is just dead. No movement, no reaction. It's like, uh-oh, okay, this is totally not working. I'm not going to play the rest of that set. I'm going to go into my folders and straight away, like, okay, let me try something totally different to see if this works. And if that works, cool. And then I take it from there. So being able to do both is great. And prepared sets like I hardly do them. I had to prepare a set the other day for something I had to record, and man, I noticed I had not done that in a long time. It was way harder for me to prepare a set than to just go out and play freestyle. But yeah, I of course I know how to do it. I was able to do it. Okay, I have to make sure what's going on there. You never know with these kids, man. But yeah, the combo would be best, I think. DJ Capd says my Reloop Elite is of course not as nice as the S11, but kind of slept on. I wouldn't compare it to the S11. Same way I wouldn't compare it to a Rain 72, just because those are mixers with the whole screen setup in there. So you could compare a Reloop Elite to an S9 or an S7 or even the Rain 70, stuff like that. The Reloop Elite is one of those mixers, 100%. For me personally, I just prefer the workflow on the Pioneer mixers. It's what I'm most used to. Also, the effects section on the Elite works a little bit differently compared to, for instance, the Pioneer. And I prefer the Pioneer workflow over the Rain mixers as well, by the way. And the onboard effects on the Pioneer mixers. That's a big plus because those are the ones I use. I hardly ever use software effects. That being said, the effects section on the Reloop Elite is a little bit different. And I noticed whenever I use it, I always have, I wouldn't say trouble, but I'm less fluent in my performance when I use that. I know that if I spend proper time with it, I can get used to it and make it work the way I want it to work. So it is kind of slept on in that way because Reloop just didn't have that space on the market yet when it comes to scratch mixers. So Pioneer had been doing it for quite some time. Of course, the 909, that's where it started for me with Pioneer scratch mixers, an amazing scratch mixer. Vestax was there running the game with their scratch mixers. Rain had been there for quite a long time with their TTM 57. The 56 and the 57 was for Serato. So they were already like in the game. In the US, a lot of people were using Rain. Over here, Pioneer. Now I believe Pioneer is just used more, but it's still Pioneer probably than Rain. And Reloop only came into that space really with that Elite. Now, Reloop experts, don't kill me. There might definitely be a Reloop scratch mixer before that I'm not familiar with. But I think because of that, it kind of just stayed a little bit under the radar. So yeah, it is kind of slept on. On the S9, where should I set my channel curve at? And my channel 1 curve and my curve on my S9 Pioneer mixer. Rich Dog, that is something you have to figure out. A lot of people will have that setting different. So the curve all depends on how you use it to mix and scratch. So some people, let's say for your channel faders, for the curve, some people want that extremely fast cutting style for their channel faders, so that as soon as they open it, they get that full volume, the same way you would want to set your crossfader. So the sharpest setting for your crossfader, I would always go for the sharpest setting if you're into scratches, but some people will want that for their channel as well. Others will want to have that in a more smooth setting where you can actually kind of fade in and out, because if you use the sharpest setting on your channel faders, you have no fade. It's just open and close. So I try to find a balance in there where I can do some fading, but still have it fast for those upward cuts as well. But that's something that's personal preference. So I cannot tell you how to set that. Have you made any business proposals for parties or events? What type of information would you recommend putting in, if so? DJ I, that is a great question. And it is something I don't have a lot of experience with, I have to be honest, especially because I've always been more of a club DJ. And as a club DJ, you don't really send business proposals to for parties or events. I think that it would be more of a mobile DJ thing, but I'm not sure. So this is great for the chat. Let's drop that knowledge if you have any experience with this. Have you sent business proposals to parties or events? So I can say I didn't really send business proposals. Now, networking, of course, and talking to promoters, it's not the same thing as a business proposal. But if you're into networking and you connect with people like that, after a couple of conversations, you might bring up like, hey, man, I'd love to play here as well. That's not really a business proposal. But anytime I've had a conversation with someone and we talked about me possibly playing there, it's not as if they told me like, hey, yeah, that could be a cool idea. Why don't you send me a business proposal? So as a club DJ, I have no experience with that. I still have my S7, 6 says, and did manage to fix the popular volume cutout issue on the upfaders. Oh, okay, you found a fix for that. Because that is one thing that a lot of people dealt with. I have to say, I experienced it for a while, and then I did a couple of sets where I didn't have it at all. Then again, for the latest couple of months, I've been strictly on the Rev 7. So I'll break out the S7 one of these days to test that. But I'd love to hear how you fix that volume cutout issue. Because that is something that is an issue, a known issue with the mixer that at least multiple DJs that I've seen online, and I don't mean 2 or 3, like probably at least like 10, 20 with that same issue. Some had it like within months. For me, it took like a year or 2 before I noticed it. But I'd love to hear what you did to fix that. DJ Vinyl Touch is in the building. Salute. And we have Nara Chen is here. What's good? What's good? DJ Shaky in the building. Salute to all of you. Quickly check. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, we're good over here. Nice. I'll do one more check here. See, normally in the studio, I would never have to do these extra checks. And here I'm doing it. So that's one thing I'm noticing right now. Normally when I'm streaming, and if I open my stream manager on Twitch, it will always show me the statistics. So I can see the session time, viewers, bitrate. It's not showing anything. I can see that I'm on. I can see that Twitch is on, but I don't see anything else. DJ Ray Hammer Time on Twitch. I see you. So Twitch is working, but the stats are not there. That's weird. That always shows. Now, luckily I can probably see on Restream. Yeah, I can. If I open Restream, I can see how many people are on Twitch right now, on YouTube right now, Facebook. LinkedIn doesn't show, but I believe it's working. Okay, so since I'm at home, I'm checking a little bit more, but it is actually safe. Good. Oh yeah, next yeah, we haven't set the time yet. Yeah, I'll probably just do it during my stream. I'll make sure to drop the announcement this week, so follow me on Instagram. But coming Monday, I will have Mixmaster G on. We just have to see if we're gonna do it at my studio, his studio, or just over the air. But I'm gonna have Mixmaster G on to talk about his brand new record box tool, music management tool. He made a tool. Let me just open my mail in the back. I hate just talking. Oh no, he sent it here. He made a new tool that can help you to totally clean up your music library, so it can find duplicates and all that. But it works differently than like programs that can only find duplicates if they have the same name. In his tool, it actually just looks at the metadata, so it can recognize that 2 songs are the same, even if the title might be written a little bit different, but it can still tell, like, hey, this one has the first letter in caps, that one doesn't, but it's the same song. I believe it can still see that it's a duplicate. Overall, it sounded as a great tool. I wanted to have him on a couple of weeks ago, but I felt it was important to actually have a chance to test the tool first So I have relevant questions to ask. So it's called the Record Box Collection Tool, right? So it's available on his website. I'm going to test it this week, but I'm going to have Mixmaster G on next week so we can talk about it. Maybe he can take us through all the functions just in case I miss stuff. I'm going to try to keep him a little bit keep a little bit of a leash on him, because I know if I let him get into the tech nerd territory, he's going to take us into the Twilight Zone, because he's way ahead of at least of me when it comes to programming and all that. We want to make sure we keep it viewer friendly to understand, but I'm going to have him on next week. So if you already looked at that tool, or if you have that tool and you have any questions, make sure you tune in next Monday to learn more about it. I'm going to implement it on the computer here this week, try it out, but I'll make sure to post announcements before that time. DX Relish, I see you. Appreciate the follow. All right, 6, let me know. You have to take it apart. Damn it. Work. You have to take it apart, remove the channel fader by desoldering it from the board. Then you have to disassemble the channel fader and clean the dirt off the little gold combs. If you have experience with that stuff, that's how it's done. Damn, that was not the easy fix I was hoping for. Now, let me be honest. It doesn't have to be an easy fix, but I'm not comfortable with taking apart the mixer like that. Now, I've replaced crossfaders, stuff like that. But now you're talking about like desoldering and stuff like that. No, I'm not going to do that. I wish the Pioneer Battle mixer, but my mixer didn't have the issue that much. I've experienced it a couple of times. Vinyl Touch says, I wish the Pioneer Battle mixers had the build quality of the Rain Battle mixers. Like the amount of money being paid should be reflected there. To be honest, besides that S7, which, to be honest, you could just tell from the first time you touch it, the channel faders are the weak point, but I guess they had to cut costs somewhere. Overall, my experience with Pioneer products and mixers has been very good. Like the S9 is built like a tank. The S11 is built like a tank. The S7 overall has a pretty good build quality. It's just that the faders are not that good. But for me personally, and I don't know too many people who have over the years told me like, hey, my Pioneer mixers keep breaking down. I have a 900 SRT built like a tank. So if I hold my 72 and S9, for instance, it's not as if I feel any amount of difference in like the build quality. Yeah. So is the S5 similar to the S7? Well, the S5 is really a lower tier. I wouldn't say it's like a plastic mixer, not that. And I don't have it in the studio anymore. I'd have to get it back to properly test it. Never got around to do that. But I don't think it is the same as the S7. Damn it. It's been a while since I've used it once. Never got around to use it after that, and then Pioneer needed it back for some stuff. So I can get it back to the studio at a certain point to test that more. But at the end of the day, as soon like when the S7 came out, it was like significantly cheaper. Well, less expensive compared to like an S9, even though some of the features are similar to the S11 features. So something is going to be different. And I could feel like the channel faders didn't feel as sturdy as the faders on the S9. And let's be honest, the only part that felt like it was not as sturdy is the part that people are having issues with. So, but beyond that, did they really have to cut costs? The 70 is in the same price range and is built much better. I don't know. Like they cut costs, meaning compared to the S9, because the S7 came out and it was cheaper, less expensive. Sorry, I need to stop saying cheaper because none of the equipment they have is cheap. Less expensive than the S9. That's what I mean. So they brought out a newer mixer with certain features that were quote unquote better, but it was less expensive. that means that they had to somehow probably cut costs somewhere. Do they have to cut costs? I guess most companies probably don't, and they probably all overcharge us when it comes down to it. But uh, but let me like for instance, no, no, Vinyl Touch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not calling you or feel that what you say is hate in any way towards Pioneer, and I'm not here to be Pioneer's defender. I'm just speaking from experience, and I've been using their mixers forever. And like I said, like I have Rain and Pioneer mixers in the studio. Uh, in what sense can you tell like the difference? Because you say you can like feel the difference, and the build is much better. And when I hold the 72 and the S9, for instance, I don't know where I could feel the quality difference. So that's interesting for me to know. And even taking it back to the 909, man, that thing was heavy as can be and also built like a tank. Six says with the S9, I believe you can even upgrade like to Innovator or some after fader market. With the S7, you can't. So yeah, I guess especially internally, you might be able to find some changes or some differences. Uh, but to be honest, I love the that Magvel Pro fader. I never had the urge to like switch it up for something like an Innovator, like the S9 fader when that came out. Love it, love it. Uh, yeah, see, okay. So with the S7 is basically the only one that everything is soldered to the board, right? Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah. W. I agree. I'm not desoldering. I'm not going there. So I'll leave it at that. Opening it up, the faders all around, channel fader included, outer shell. Mm-hmm. That's where you can tell the difference. Okay. I have not opened them up. So you can definitely be right on that part. I cannot speak on that. I can only speak on usage, feel, um, and I've abused mixers, and I've abused the Pioneer way more than the Rain, and they were able to survive my abuse, except for the S7 channel fader. And now we know why, because they were just built differently compared to the other mixers. Hmm. All right, still up to date. Nice. Do you ever plan on digging out the old school techs and rocking them for a stream? Um, yeah. At a certain point, yeah. I do need to check if they are in working condition. I still have a pair of SLs, and I remember the last time I used them, something was not working correctly on one of them. But it's been a long time, so I don't know what. So I have to get them to the studio, see what it is, and if they're working correctly. Otherwise, I will have to check our local Dutch SL doctor. There's a guy here specialized in like fixing SLs, and get him to fix mine. He already fixed a pair of mine like way back in the days. He took out the ground wire and grounded the turntables internally, so I never had to connect the ground wire anymore. Replace my lights, put LEDs in there. He can change everything on the device, so maybe I'll have to get mine fixed. But I will check that. I still have a pair. Edward, just at the home office right now. Couldn't make it to the studio, so this is the backup studio. But in this case, I'm able to do a normal stream here because I have my studio cam with me because I still had it from my gig yesterday. So I'm using my studio cam and I'm using wired internet this time. That's why I'm able to have a steady stream. Last time I did was with a webcam and Wi-Fi, and that was a horrible disaster. Not doing that again. Also, that's why I'm not going to make this stream too long because I'm using wired internet, but I'm using the wired internet, the cable from my oldest son. He's home already. He had school, then work, and now he's home. And I know he wants to game, and I know that gaming over Wi-Fi here is not the greatest either. So I'm not gonna keep him from his internet too much longer. Question for you and the other DJs: what's the average payout from clubs for a night of around 4 hours in your cities? Okay, so I'm glad I read the whole question first because that's the thing. This is going to be so different. And we probably have to specify the question even more because I, for just looking at my local area, just here, Amsterdam or just the Netherlands, I could not tell you the average fee that people at bars charge or people who play totally different types of music, like the house scene. I have no idea what their prices are. They're lower, higher. I have no idea. So if any DJs in the chat are willing to share what their average payout is from clubs for a night of around 4 hours in your cities, it would be cool if you could also mention like the type of parties you're playing, type of genres, you name it. And of course, when it comes to clubs, it also depends. Like if you're doing a club that has a capacity of 150, the payout might be totally different than that club where they can pack it with like 1,500 people. You know, uh, for me personally, 4 hour set, I hardly do those. I used to. I've played 6 hour sets, 7 hour sets. At a certain point, I mostly played all night, but always with one or two DJs, and we would just play the entire night together, which is, in my opinion, the best way to play because you get to experience the entire night and you get to build, bang out at the top, and close it out. That's a great thing to do. Beyond that, if I get booked, it's mostly for like an hour or 2 hour sets or something like yesterday, the dance battle thing, but that's not like a club night. Um, and I also judge it differently, like depending on where I have to go, how far I have to go, you name it. I feel like the price thing comes up all the time. Unfortunately, there's just not one size fits all answer. Plus, now with the way the economy is, people are charging way different than even 4 years ago. Very valid points from DJ Six. And yeah, like there's a lot of variables in here that will affect the answer. And also, a DJ, if they're gonna share their price, for instance, should also specify like, hey, how long are you playing? Because if you're a DJ and you're in your beginner phase, you're probably not going to be charging the same as someone who's been doing this for 10 years. Or, for instance, for me personally, I'm right now in a phase of my career where I do not feel, I have no desire to play 3 gigs per weekend. I have no desire to be in that nightlife that much. Just it's just not what I'm feeling. That feeling might come back, but I doubt it. As you get older, I don't see myself all of a sudden having the urge to be out all weekend. But because I don't want to be out all the time, that is also one of the reasons why I actually might actually want to increase my price. Because maybe I do want to still play, but not that much. So I might just increase my price. So for a lot of people, it's not going to be, they're not going to be able to book it. And if someone is able to book it, you have a nice payout as well. But yeah, it's going to be, I don't know. And I don't see answers in the chat. I also think you're going to have a lot of DJs that don't want to disclose how much they make. Maybe because they are not making that much and they don't want to share because of that reason. Or they're making a lot and they don't want people to know how much they're making. So that's a tough one. So for me personally, I don't have one set price. It kind of depends on, like I said, if I'm being booked. If I know that I'm being booked by this large organization, it's totally different than when someone approaches me and they have a small venue. It's not like I'm gonna have like a super low price, but I'm willing to take stuff like that into consideration. Oh, let's see. Jason Valdez. I see you appreciate that follow. And James from the Philippines. I don't know if I shouted you out, but I'm shouting you out right now. And DJ RB says I have a few broken parts on my Rain 12 and 72. We were just talking about build quality, by the way. The start stop button needs to be changed. The left toggle switch effect needs to be replaced. Where can I get these parts? RB, first off, you might want to check the place where you bought it or check Rain, and otherwise Google. I have no idea. I really don't. But that will be my approach. If I bought something and it's broke, maybe I can get it repaired where I bought it. Otherwise, I'm going to check Rain customer service because it is their products. That would be my path. Naira Chin says, if you're just getting into the scene, is it better to take the shitty pay left and right to get your name out there and turn them down to take a stand for DJs to get paid more, or turn them down? Now, look, when you're just starting out, I've played for free for a year just to gain experience. Best decision of my life. And you'll have people out there telling you you should never play for free, know your worth, yada yada, whatever. First off, when you're just starting out and you don't have experience, you don't really have that worth yet, especially within the market. And especially experience is worth way more than financial gain in the beginning. So I played there for a year. This was a local bar/club, not that big. They had a weekly jam session with a live band and artists, and I played in between the band. Did that for free, learned a ton, like how to read a crowd, thinking, looking at the records in my crate, what could I play for this audience? Love it. At a certain point, you start to play more, and of course, you have to set a price. In the beginning, that was crazy. Like when I started to get requests like, hey, we're throwing a party. How much do you charge? The first time I heard that question, I had no idea. I was like, damn, I had to come up with a price. Like the gigs I'd done before that were just gigs where they already had, like, this is what they had. They had a budget. This is it. First time I was asked to make up a price, like, wow. So I finally came up with a price and stuck to that. At a certain point, raised that price. Sometimes I hooked certain people up, played for less, especially people who I had played for before who gave me my first shots. Of course, I'll come play for you. Hey, I do charge now, but for you, I'll do it for this amount. Then you get to that point where you have to like start rejecting people who come at you with like, indeed that shitty amount. But they'll tell you like, hey, but we're going to put your name on 3,000 flyers. Like, yeah, that was cool when I did my first gig, not when you're like a couple of years in. So yeah, you have to like, I don't think there's like one path when it comes to that. But when you're just getting started, having actual gigs is what you need to build that experience playing for people. You can practice at home all you want to, but you can't learn how to read a crowd at home. You're going to have to be playing in front of people to do that. So if you can do that, and in that case, I wouldn't even call it what you said, shitty pay. I would say like, okay, I'm just starting out. So I'm starting at the bottom. I want that experience. I'll come play. But that's me. Max Winner, all good over here. Salute to you. And Philip Tan, hi. And Edward, yes indeed. My Mark III is here, and I actually only upgraded like, well, not even a year ago. Yeah, not even a year ago I upgraded. I was still using the Mark I. And yeah, just recently upgraded. And the funny thing is, the plan was to have this Mark III in the studio and to have the Mark I here, just at home. Because funny thing is, especially for the last, I don't know, since this has been here, I've been making more beats here than in the studio. But the thing was, I was going to use my Mark I here in this at home. The Mark I did not want to play with my Mac Mini, with my M1 Mac Mini. They're not friends. So, in other words, my Mark 1 did not work here. So I had one choice, or I had two choices: either not have something here or bring the Mark 3 here. So I brought the Mark 3 here. Best thing I could have done. I'm making a ton of beats here. The Mark 1 is at the studio, but I think it took its last breath because the USB port on the back is so flimsy by now. If you even look at it, it disconnects and connects again, disconnects and connects again. So yeah, at a certain point, there will be a Mark 3 at the studio as well, or the Machine Plus, the standalone. But that one is way more expensive. But I would love to have the standalone unit so I can travel with that. But Machine all day, every day. Anything else? No. No, we're good. Yep. Okay, and quick plug again. You've been seeing him in the background, the Saturday sessions. Back on the Saturday sessions. I dropped one last week on Saturday. I dropped a new one this Saturday. So that's just been on the channel for a couple of days. I'm working on getting you guys some of these breakdown videos where I break down the patterns as well. So give you just a video explaining different patterns that I performed in those Saturday sessions videos. But in the meantime, new Saturday sessions videos are available. So if you're into scratch practice, it's a nice variety to have. So instead of just practicing by yourself, every once in a while, you pop this playlist up, play these videos, and then you can hear different patterns, either try to do what I do, or maybe it will just spark your creativity and you hear me do a pattern. And you're like, hey, let me try something like that, but with a twist. Whatever the case may be, hopefully this can help you out. And if you want to practice on your own and you want to use the beats and the scratch sounds I'm using, you can find those on my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/DJTLM. A ton of beats there you can download and some scratch sounds as well. And I'm going to be adding a lot more on in the coming time. There's a lot more coming. Plus, I'm working on extras that are going to be available on the membership site, DJTLMTV.com. Haven't had time to add a lot of perks yet. So right now on the membership site, you get discounts on merch, stuff like that. But I'm looking to add a lot more stuff there, including the mix I did on Thursday for Certified Bangers. I did 100% Busta Rhymes. So I just played Busta Rhymes tracks, grabbed a ton of Busta Rhymes tracks from Beat Source and went all out. Just to salute Busta Rhymes for being the ill artist he is. And I cannot upload that mix to Mixcloud. Mixcloud does not allow you to have too many songs from a same album or songs from the same artist, or it will be blocked in certain countries, including the US. I remember that because I did that like a couple years ago, uploaded a mix, and then I got that message because I had, I think, 3 or 4 Tribe Called Quest tracks in there. It was like, we're not allowing that. So I'm pretty sure 100% Busta Rhymes is not going to be allowed. So I'm going to upload that one, audio and video, to the membership site. It'll be up there next week. That was a ton of fun to do, by the way, playing just strictly Busta Rhymes. Man, dude has so many bangers. And I posted this today. Just realize I played Busta Rhymes songs from 1991, Leaders of the New School days, and I played Busta Rhymes songs from 2023. That's 32 years active in the game. So not like, an artist who made songs in the 90s, maybe 2000s, and still performs nowadays. No. I have Busta songs from 23, 22, 21, 20. Dude never stopped. It's incredible. And the level only went up. So, yeah, man. Can we get the membership link again, please? Oh, DJTLMTV.com. It most likely has been dropped by the chat bot, but let me just, DJTLMTV. I'm pretty sure it will not delete that when I post it like this. Yeah. Probably doesn't work as a link though. I didn't add any wwws there, but just so you know, djtlmtv.com. That's the site. Wait a minute. Did my stream stop or did Restream just stop? Okay, no. I think we're still here. That Buster set was dope. Appreciate you. Buster is habitually dope. Yeah, and I mean that didn't change. That's the funny part. Like still. And Buster is so special because Buster can ride any type of beat. Slow, fast, energetic, can hit you with just spitting, but can also give you some deeper lyricism, can spit super fast, can take you into almost like that patois Jamaican type of flow. He has it all. And I said this during the stream as well. I think that Busta Rhymes is probably the most dangerous artist to face in a versus battle. And I can't name an artist who I think could beat Busta Rhymes in a versus battle. Just because of the fact that besides all the hits, and recognize the fact that this guy has hits with everyone, you have the amount of hits, and then also the level of performance. Like Busta is a beast on stage. Like who's gonna beat Busta in a versus? I really can't think of a lot of people who could do that. Like might sound crazy. One of the only people who might have, well, definitely has the repertoire and a dope stage presence is Missy. I know people sometimes underestimate Missy, but the amount of songs she has, not just as an artist, but never forget, she also produced a ton of hits and wrote for people. Her list is crazy as well. But yeah, that to me would be like an ultimate versus right there. Just to witness live, Busta and Missy, man. But okay, I do parties to help folks celebrate. I have a great paying job and don't really want to DJ for my income. But even though my service is free, they still pay me on average $500 for 3 hours. But I play as long as I want. I play no clubs. This sounds like a great life right here, man. This sounds great. Like you have your great paying job. So basically everything is in order, taken care of. And besides that, you have to get to have fun playing as a DJ, making people happy. And on top of that, you still get paid for that, even though you didn't even want to get paid for that. Yeah, what can I say? Congrats. I mean, that sounds really dope. Did I miss anything else? Which DJ inspired you in your early days, and which newer ones inspire you today? Well, for me, it started just by hearing scratches, not even realizing a lot of times who the DJs were. Because I have to say, like, scratching is the first thing that made me aware of like something like turntables and stuff like that. I was still very young, so I had no knowledge of clubs or the fact that you had places where people could go and DJs would play music on turntables. So hearing scratches, that was my first introduction, and I would hear scratches on all sorts of songs. So that will take you to EPMD. So you have DJ Scratch there. You would hear those scratches. Always loved when I heard Tough Crew from Philly, and their DJ Too Tough. At the time, I didn't even know that was the name. I just knew I loved the scratches on those records. So you have guys like DJ Scratch, DJ Cash Money, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Too Tough. Those were just names at a certain point I picked up, and I loved the way they scratch. On top of that, later on, like way later, I discovered like also seeing and hearing Jazzy Jeff actually DJ. That was super dope. I've opened up for Jeff once. I've played with Cash Money, also a very dope DJ in the clubs. I've opened up for Scratch. But those are some of the names from back in the days. And probably, let's be honest, when I first heard hip hop, it wasn't even those DJs. It was even the earlier DJs. The Grand Mixer DXT was going to be the first one when I heard Rocket. And then probably Flash but at the time I didn't know their names either. When it comes to newer DJs, I'm into DJs who have musical knowledge and the skills. So I love hearing DJs, well, still like Jeff, but DJs like Scratch Bastard. Whenever I get a chance to watch him stream, love it. Love it. So that's one of the newer names, even though he's been in the game for a long time as well. That is always dope to watch. Max Winner, Cheese. Yeah, I've heard Cheese before, but it's not one of the names that comes to mind though. Um, and Gon says hearing it back to back was an eye opener for me. DJ Cruz was good. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of if I can come up with some of the DJ Cheese stuff like scratches or routines. Nothing comes to mind now. Sorry, just checking the iPad that I have there to see if there's anything in the chat that I'm not seeing. Getting used to the home, this little home setup. I mean, I could do it on the computer here. I could have the chat here. I'd rather just have something that has me facing the camera, but it's underneath the camera. I have an iPad there with the Restream chat. That's what I'm reading here. I'd rather do this instead of being here and doing this all the time. By the way, if we are through the questions, I'm gonna end this Q&A so I can get back to doing some work. I have to make a few more edits, take a few more clips from a couple of previous episodes of my live streams, and I'll be back on Thursday with Certified Bangers. And I will be doing more of those specials because it was just a lot of fun to do. And I did the Busta Rhymes now, so that's a non-prepared thing. The only thing I do to prepare is I go, in this case, to Beat Source, and I just type Busta in the search field and started selecting tracks. And I had like I only took a small portion of his repertoire, so I had like 120 tracks in there. Use that. That's how I'll do the special. It's not like going to be a prepared set, but I will do that with some more artists because there's a ton of artists out there that deserve their flowers and just have so much, such a large body of work. And it's a nice, nice side track from the normal stuff I do during my live streams. So that's Thursday Certified Bangers, and on Sunday a normal Sunday sessions. Rakim Prince says, how would you go about getting your first DJ residency? I don't know if there's a way you can actually go about that. I mean, it starts, well, first off, most likely it's going to start by getting a gig at a venue where you might want a residency. It has to start with a gig. The chances that it just starts with a residency are slim unless you're already really popping and people see and hear you everywhere and they're like, yo, we want you in our venue. Because then you have a ton of leverage and you can let them know like, hey, we can do that, but it would have to be like a weekly or monthly thing. So besides that, whenever you have a gig somewhere and there's a click, you feel the audience, you perform well, you have a good connection with the promoter, and again, you perform well, then maybe first off, you need to make sure you just get booked again before you even think about residencies. But I believe in most cases, a residency will come either from having a great connection with someone or proving yourself over time. I have no like gameplay for how to get a residency. But again, it starts with that first gig. You need to have your way in the door first so they can actually see you in action and see if you can add value to their venue or event. Queen Caesar, that's been a long time. Salute. Before you end, could you explain your streaming setup again, please? Are you still using the ATEM Mini? So in this case, I'm using the ATEM Mini. So I had a gig yesterday for those people who tuned in later. I'll just do a quick recap. I played at a dance battle yesterday and I thought, let me just bring my gear because normally I stream on Sunday. I won't be in the studio on Sunday. I'm at this dance battle. I'm going to bring a camera and I'm going to bring my ATEM Mini Pro, my video switcher, because that ATEM Mini has a built-in streaming feature. So the cool thing is, I don't know if the cable is long enough or if I'm going to mess anything up if I do this. Can I bring it into the frame? Damn it. No, I can't. I'm not going to do that. Might disconnect something. Okay, it's a video switcher. And Queen Caesar, you already know what it is. But the cool thing is, it already has a setting in there that I set up on the computer that if I hit that on air button and there's an Ethernet cable plugged in, it will send that stream, whatever video I have connected to restream, and I can stream. So I went to that venue yesterday, set up the DJ gear. Once I had that set up, grabbed the tripod, set up this camera, connected the audio to the ATEM Mini Pro, connected the HDMI cable to the ATEM Mini Pro. Once everything was set, Ethernet cable in there, click on air, and my live stream started. It's great for those those situations. And for instance, now I did not have a chance to go to the studio. The ATEM Mini Pro is here, and there's just an Ethernet cable going into that ATEM Mini Pro. I'm not streaming from a computer. This is not OBS or anything, just the ATEM Mini Pro. But Queen Caesar, to answer your question, my streams from the studio are not going through the ATEM Mini. I am still using it for the audio at the moment, even though I don't have to. I can also plug in directly to my audio interface, but my audio is still going through the ATEM Mini, but that's not really necessary. My video in the studio is all going directly into my studio computer. I bought this Elgato capture card. I think it's the StreamLink Pro, and I might be wrong about the name. They have a bunch of those names that all have StreamLink in the title, but it is their capture card that has 4 HDMI inputs. The ATEM Mini also has 4 HDMI inputs, but the only thing is the ATEM Mini is a switcher, meaning you have an USB cable from the ATEM Mini going to your computer, and your computer will see it as a webcam. Or if you go straight from the device, you're just streaming straight from the device. It shows you one camera. I have 4 buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I can switch between cameras. You do have like a picture-in-picture mode that gives you the opportunity to show 2 cameras at the same time, but that's it. In the studio where I have that capture card with 4 inputs, in OBS, I can see those 4 inputs as separate sources, meaning you can rearrange and set up everything the way you like. And you don't have to change anything else in on the device itself, like you did on the ATEM Mini. Sorry, I just have to check real quick. Okay. Damn. I'm glad I saw this. I was almost about to announce something. And now I just heard that it might be pushed back a week. Okay. Woo. That was just in time. Chris on the mix, I see you. Okay, back to the what I was saying. So if you have OBS open and you have the ATEM Mini, you can see your different cameras, but you have to switch between cameras. In the studio now, I can have all my 4 sources on screen at the same time. So when you see my live stream, and for instance, you see the WAV files, the Serato WAV files above and below my screen, that's possible because I have the laptop screen going into the computer. I have my top cam going into the computer, my main cam, all separate. So I prefer to use that in the studio. But the ATEM Mini is still a great option, especially if you're only using like 1 or 2 cams. I mean, I did that for the longest and I just switched. And you can actually do a ton of stuff inside the ATEM Mini, but you have to prep that in advance. You have to connect it to a computer. You can set up macros that if you hit one button, it will go through like a routine, switching between cameras automatically. You can set that up, but that is a lot of setting up work. And OBS just gives me more freedom, but I also want to have that freedom to use all my camera sources separately. Audio still going into the A10 Mini, but I don't have to when I'm in the studio. I could just go directly into my audio interface. But Queen Caesar, to make it a little more visible, and I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but it's finally coming in. Well, let me just give myself this extra wiggle room. Next week, I'm dropping videos where I show you all the gear and the streaming setups, and I'll show the multiple different ways that I stream. Silence, peace and love. And do you still have plans to set up the Crates Radio Raid Train 6? Yes, most definitely. But I'll announce that way ahead of time. We'll announce that most likely for those first editions, I'm reaching out to people directly already. Once I want to go beyond that and invite more people outside of my direct reach, I'm gonna announce that too. But I mean, I have your, I know how to contact you, so you'll know when that starts. I'll let you know for sure. McQueen Caesar, what's your current struggle with the setup? Is there anything specific that's not working? Let me know. Maybe we can help right now. And I appreciate that follow. And Favor says, my DJ foundation was laid by you. Give you props for people enjoying my sets. May never get to anything so-called big status, but I'm having fun. Hey, to be honest, and this is gonna be different for everyone. For me personally, I don't value like big status that much. Like the DJs that we see that travel the world all the time. First off, I know that's not all that glamorous as most people think it is. I would not care to trade with people that have to do that all the time, especially because it would take away a lot of my family time as well. But the second thing you said, but I'm having fun, that's way more important. Happiness at the end of the day is way more important than the bigger gigs or so-called status. So, yeah, you're in a good place. You're in a good place for sure. Silence, you said you had the capture card and still the A10 Mini setup on the same machine, or did I confuse that? So no, yeah, I mean, like I said, I still use the A10 Mini in the studio, but not for video. The video is all going straight into the capture card in the computer. So all video stuff is going straight into the computer. But the A10 Mini at this moment, it was still there. And the funny thing is, when I was switching from the A10 Mini to the computer, my audio was still in the A10 Mini, and I just left it in there. And now I'm using the A10 Mini as the audio capture, which I do not have to do. So at a certain point, that A10 Mini is just going into the go bag, so I have it with me all the time. And then my audio in the studio, I just need to go into my audio interface. So my setup would be the capture card in the studio PC, and then I have my Universal Audio Apollo there, Apollo Solo. That's where I can send my my audio. And then the A10 Mini is going to be my on-the-go thing. And I mean, preferably I'll have this camera for streams, but I'm not having, this camera will never be in my go bag. I hardly ever take this outside the studio simply because I don't want to jeopardize my main cam. But every now and then I'll take it. But for the go bag, I could just have a GoPro in there and that A10 Mini, and then I could stream whenever they have like an Ethernet connection. Of course, there are other ways to stream. Even with the modern GoPros, you can even stream directly from a GoPro. If you just tether it with your phone, then it has an internet connection and then they can go. But yeah, that's not as good. B-Dub says, is it late to start Twitch streaming? I don't think it's ever too late. No, I don't think it's ever too late. I'll continue that. Hold up, let me just quickly see. Queen Caesar says, my Mac Airs aren't powerful enough. Laggy stream with OBS error, encoder overload. I was going to sell my equipment to get a more powerful Mac like an M1 and use the ATEM with the HDMI cam. Okay, so you're using a Mac Air, but it's like the Intel version, so that's an older version. Yeah, that's gonna probably lack the power. Now I have an M1 MacBook Air, but I don't use that for streaming. It can probably handle it, even though the GPU on that is not like crazy powerful. Like for me, the studio computer is a great option for that because that has a good GPU. But the great thing about, for instance, streaming straight from the, if you don't have a powerful computer, streaming directly from the ATEM Mini Pro solves that because you don't need to have a computer with any type of powerful GPU because you're not using your computer to stream. So the ATEM Mini can solve that. But of course, if you're streaming from the ATEM Mini directly, then you're missing all of the extras that you can do with OBS. Like it's cool with all the alerts and overlays. And yes, I know there are workarounds to get some of that stuff on your ATEM Mini Pro, but it's not great. It's not great. It takes a lot of work and workarounds to make that happen. Like a simple overlay is not an issue. Like the one you're seeing right now, you see my DJ TLM TV logo and my Crates logo. That's just an image that I have uploaded to the ATEM Mini Pro, so that's in their standard. So I can just start a stream and have logos in there. That's not an issue. But if you want to have like alerts pop up and stuff like that, that is trickier, more tricky. So if you want to go the OBS route, then a more powerful computer is most likely what is needed there. I use the ATEM Mini for video and audio. Any other way, I had too much of a delay. Yeah, there are ways to mostly fix that within OBS. You have to adjust times, but I understand. I've had that issue as well. BW, quickly back to your question: is it too late to start streaming? I never think it is. It all depends on what I don't know what your goal is. If it is to stream as a DJ, I think Twitch is the best platform because community-wise, it's just where most stuff happens. I still do Mixcloud, but there's just not much happening over there, and I don't feel they've improved enough to make it more of that community that you feel on Twitch. But I don't think it's ever too late. It's not too late to start streaming. It's not too late to start a YouTube channel. It's not too late to build an online presence. I don't believe in too late. And Vinyl Touch, I agree. Vinyl Touch says OBS in general works better on Windows. I think so too, even though my comparison isn't totally fair because my studio PC, my Windows PC, is just more powerful than the Apple options I have. I have an M1 MacBook Air and I have an M1 base model M1 Mac Mini here. GPU wise, there's no comparison. So that's a tough one, but I've heard that from multiple people that Windows is a little bit easier on OBS. All right. Is there anything you've seen or heard? Wait. Is there anything you've seen or heard a DJ do that really impressed you and is very memorable? Could be a certain transition, etc. Nothing comes to mind right now. I've seen multiple DJ routines where within the routine, a DJ would do something that really either blew my mind or just sounded super dope. I remember one. Well, actually, I do remember some, but I remember seeing DJ Babu do a routine that I've seen him do on video. Seeing him do that live was just one of the most exciting things. It blew my mind when I saw it on video, but then to see the person do it in front of you is super. It's just something that sticks with me. When it comes to transitions, I don't know. I've heard dope transitions. but nothing that really sticks like that. Years later, I'm still talking about, man, do you remember when DJ Blah mixed this and that track? So most of the things that really like shocked me or gave me that wow moment were turntablism things. What's the French, the two French DJs, they play as a team, Netic and, damn it. I saw them a couple of years ago live as well. They were doing some stuff that had me like, oh my God, what's happening here? Like super dope. All right. Queen Caesar says, I was also having a hard time running stems Serato 3.0 on my 2020 Mac Air. I guess that Intel just isn't powerful enough. Yeah. I mean, that's just the difference there because I'm using the model that came after that. I'm using those first M1 MacBook Airs that came out in 2020, and I'm using Serato 3 and stems. I've used video and stems together, and it runs. So, yeah, that is a major difference. Fresh Fruit says Twitch also has a streaming app, super easy to use. OBS uses less memory though. And Mixcloud doesn't have the backing / viewership that Twitch has. I think that's the real problem. Yeah, I mean it's if Mixcloud was offering what Twitch has, maybe more DJs would switch, and if more DJs would switch, then the audience would probably come along. But and I've said this on stream before, I saw that interview, and that's now 2 or 3 years ago. Cleveland Terry had the Mixcloud CEO on. I don't remember his name, and they were talking about that, and he was telling the audience like, "Hey, we're working on those features. They're coming in a couple of months." And I remember he was talking about stuff like raids, like you have on Twitch, and other stuff that people are used to. Those things never came. Same thing, and people that have seen the stream before know I've complained about this many times. I'm looking at the cam right now. Underneath the cam, I have my Restream chat app open. In the Restream chat app, I can see basically all of the channels that I'm streaming to right now. I see my YouTube comments. I see the chat. I see the Twitch chat, YouTube chat. I see what people on Facebook are saying. I see what people on LinkedIn are saying. If I had Kick open, which I don't have open right now, I would see Kick. I still cannot see Mixcloud in the Restream chat app. Same thing when I adjust the title on Restream. I can update my title. It will update that title for Twitch, for YouTube, for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Twitter, X even, Kick. No, Kick not yet. But all those others except Mixcloud. So those little things show me like, hey, the one that still is not up to par with the rest, just with those simple things. So it's not making it easier for the streamer. Excuse me. So when I go live for my mix shows and I'm on Twitch and I'm on Mixcloud, I can see that Twitch stream. If I want to see the Mixcloud stream, I have to have a separate window open so I can see both. Stuff like that doesn't help. So there's not a real incentive for a lot of streamers to say like, hey, let me switch. And I haven't seen any like growth there either. There's not like, even though I always send the mix streams to Mixcloud, it's not like I see like, hey, more people active in the chat, more viewers. I don't see a lot of that going on. And Twitch also already has the audience. So if you're starting out now, you're more likely to get some people on Twitch than on Mixcloud. Still rocking my older table. Okay, that's your conversation. I'm leaving out. Silence says Netic dope. Yeah, Netic. It was Netic, but Netic and what's the other DJ's name? They toured together. French DJs, by the way, they have a ton of dope turntablists. Arm Herrera, salute. I've been in a slump and don't even want to touch my gear. How do you motivate yourself to push forward and getting back on? I mean, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, especially because motivation is I don't want to say motivation is a facade. It's not. It's real, but it's sometimes you have to do stuff even when you don't feel motivated. If it's something you like really want to do. So for instance, if you want to get better at something but you don't feel like it, sometimes you just have to push through and the feeling will come back. But if it's not that important and you don't feel like doing it, then sometimes maybe people lost the passion for it. It's hard for me to say and judge, and I'm not a psychologist or whatever. Um, I just know that there's times that I haven't felt the most motivated, and sometimes it still helps to just go for it and do it. And sometimes when you're then at it, you all of a sudden you get that spark again. But a lot of times for me, what does happen to me is I might just be watching something or listening to something and hear something, and that makes me go like, "Oh, I want to start up the decks right now." I have it with beats all the time. Like if I hear a dope beat, the first thing that comes to mind is I want to make a beat right now. But if I wouldn't have that feeling, but I still feel like beats is something I want to do, I would probably just push myself and say, look, I'm going to sit here and make a beat right now, even though I'm not feeling it. Maybe I have to do that for a couple of times in a row. And most likely, if some magic happens, I get something going, I start to get that feeling back. But I mean, I could never tell someone else how to find motivation, where to get motivation from, because we're all motivated by different stuff. So I don't know. Brad, here's the comment. Here was the comment. As a lefty, I prefer to play with both decks on the left. It's been this way for me since 1988. I can just play just fine on the right, but not as good of flow. Is it me, or am I judged by other DJs when I play on just the left? Seems there is an undertone towards not playing ambidextrous. In the end, I'll play like I want, but I thought it's an interesting icebreaker. Brad, for me personally, I could care less what other DJs might think of it. If I find out that I perform better with both decks on the left side or both decks on the right side, and I know DJs who play that way. First time I saw it, it was like a shock to me, especially because I know DJs who play that way, but they were still doing turntablism. So they were still backspinning, but they were backspinning like, let's say if it's on the left side, rewind this one, fader here with the right hand, rewind that one. So this hand is doing all of the rewinding and the other hand is doing all the fader stuff. First time I saw it, I was like, whoa, that's different. But if that works for you, then that works for you. So you should definitely do what feels right for you. Silence says, for now, I believe Twitch is the better platform. Yep, I agree. And that's probably an API problem on Mixcloud's end. Yeah, I guess. I mean, just the fact that all the other platforms work except for Mixcloud. So I don't know what they would have to change to make that happen. But if you really want to be that streaming option, you have to make it comfortable for streamers. Because every time I start my stream, I have to physically go to Mixcloud and adjust the name there. The other platforms I don't have to do that for because that just happens in Restream automatically. So to be honest, it's already one of the reasons why I'm not using Mixcloud anymore during these Share the Knowledge sessions. I don't feel like doing that every time, that extra step. So it's their loss. Less streamers are using them because they make it more difficult. G. Kinney was good. I see you. Salute. Yes, I did stream yesterday on Twitch. Yes, I was actually on for, I think, 4 or 5 hours. But it was not just me. There were like 3 DJs, and we were DJing at a dance battle. So we were on for, I think, like almost 5 hours. Fresh Fruit says Questlove does it too. 2 on the left. Yeah, I know a couple of DJs who do that. And like if that works for them, go for it, you know? Johnny Swift said, what's the best site to AI your name drop? I have no idea what the best site would be to AI your name drop. I do know that if you want to order custom DJ drops, I would check out Fiverr.com. That's 5 and then double R, Fiverr.com. It's like a marketplace for anything. So if you need anything done, you'll find people there that can do it. If you need a logo design, if you need a DJ drop, if you need someone to record like jingles or edit videos, you name it, they have people there. I get my DJ drops done there, my jingles done there. I've had tons of logos done there for great prices as well. Now they have all sorts of prices. It was called Fiverr because in the beginning like stuff was all $5. Now they have all sorts of prices, but I mean I still have multiple logos that I had done for under $20. And that's with the licensing and everything. So I have the commercial rights to use it for whatever I want to use it for. Same with the DJ drops. Now I have some logos that were a little bit more, but I'm talking like $30-$40. There are also pros on there that will charge like $500, but I've done fine with the ones I found for the amounts that they charge. So Fiverr is a great place for that. Yes, G Kenny, indeed. They do video intros too, like anything. Like, bro, if you need someone to stand somewhere with a picket sign with something on it, I think you can find that on Fiverr as well. If you need someone to fill in forms for you, you can find them on Fiverr. I mean, basically, like half of my stuff has been done by people in anywhere from Poland to Sri Lanka because you're connected to the whole world. You have people on a small island with a computer, but now they have a way to edit videos for you. It's. I mean, I feel it's a win-win. Queen Caesar says, "What DAW? So what DAW do you use for music production? How long did it take you to learn how to make beats?" This device you see right here. This is my Machine Mark III. Of course, that's not a DAW. That is a controller, but it's the controller for Machine. Machine is software by Native Instruments. It's my go-to for making beats. Now, it's technically not the same as a DAW. Wait, did I just see myself there in... Which one is that? Oh, that's the Flex 6. Wow, I haven't seen that one in a while. Sorry, distracted. It's not a DAW because it's not as if you can just record your vocals in there the same way you could do it in Cubase and Logic, you name it. I've used a ton of those as well. I spent a long time using Cubase. I have experience with Logic as well, but I do my beats in Machine. You can also use Machine within another DAW, by the way, but I just use it in Machine, make it, then I bounce the tracks, and if I need to mix myself, then I'll take something like Cubase or Studio One and do the mix there. But like my beat making is done in Machine. Now, how long did it take me to learn how to make beats? I'm still learning every day. Every time I make a beat, I learn. But I started making beats a very long time ago. Like I think the first device I did it on was a computer called the Commodore Amiga. It was basically for games, but a friend of mine had this little device you could plug into the back, and it would allow you to connect audio devices so you could sample. And you had like a little fast tracker type software in there that would allow you to play the samples, loop the samples. So that was the first experience. I've actually used an Atari ST with Cubase, an old version. But for me, hardware was actually where I really caught the bug. And that was with my Akai MPC 2000 XL. I also have the S950 for people who are into gear. But that was where I really started to make beats more. Better beats also. At a certain point, I just needed more computer power. And when the first Machine came out, I was like, hey, this is a device that has all the pads like my MPC, but it has the power of the computer. That was the main appeal for me because the MPC, it's a drum computer. You use floppy disks that have to go in there. You have limited sample time. With Machine, I didn't have that because I had the power of my computer. I just really love the workflow. I also really love the fact that it has the mobile apps. And I make a lot of my beats start on either my phone or my iPad. This you can have like drum pads in there. You can start your beats in there, and then you can export to your computer, and then you can finish your beat by adding a ton of tracks. Even the last Saturday sessions video, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. If you have checked it out, the beat that you hear, the beat that I used for the last Saturday session, that beat was made on my phone, at least started on my phone, finished on the computer. So for me, that's a great way to work, especially if you're in a Mac environment. For me, if my sketch is finished, I can literally airdrop the project to the Mac Mini and open it in machine, like within a minute. So the workflow for me is great. There's a lot of there's DAWs out there. A lot of people use them for beats, work great. I made beats with Cubase and an MPD. There's so many options. But for me, the workflow that I'm used to now is machine, and I'm sticking to it. All right, Johnny Swift, salute. And Skiz Raw, just got a Rev 1 for Christmas. DJ'd before. How can I get gigs? All I have is an iPad, DJ software, and will subscribe to a streaming app. You've DJ'd before, so you already know how to DJ, right? That's what you're saying. So it doesn't really matter what type of gear you have at home, because especially clubs, you're not bringing your gear. You're going to be playing on the gear that's there. Like, I think the most obvious answer would be you need to network. So if you want to get gigs, you need to get out there and let it be known that you are a DJ, you DJ, and you want to DJ there. So you have to meet the promoters, owners, DJs, and start to network. At the same time, you have to make sure that you have material available so that if people meet people, they can check you out. Nowadays, of course, that will be online. That will be the easiest. So if you can send them a link and they can go to your Mixcloud page, for instance, to hear some of your work, that helps out. So you don't need more gear at home, and especially if you already know how to DJ, then you can use your iPad and Rev 1 to just check out new tracks, maybe try some mixes out, stuff like that. But you need to get out there and network. Marrera, I'd like to see a live set of you on Christmas or New Year's. Well, I don't have any bookings for this year for any of those, so that's not going to happen. I'm going to try to stream more of my gigs when I get a chance, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I'll see what I can do whenever I have one of those gigs. Brad on Facebook, shout out to you. All right, we're going to do one more, and then I'm going to hand my internet connection back over to my son so he can get his gaming on. Had any memorable requests where the person clearly didn't read the room? I was playing a soul and funk night, and some dude came up asking for Miss Fatty. Hey, that happens all the time. Like the request people are the funniest. They are in their own zone, and they'll ask you whatever they feel like hearing, even if it makes no sense and has no connection with the night. So I've had plenty of those. Like, you could be playing at a New Jack Swing event that's been promoted as a New Jack Swing event, and then someone will come up to you and ask if you can play Tiesto. Like, you know, that happens all the time. So yeah, I've been there. All right, guys, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I'll be back here next Monday so we can talk more DJ. Well, I won't be back here. I'll be back in my studio for the normal streams. If you want to watch me live, watch me DJ, tune in on Thursday for Certified Bangers and on Sunday for the Sunday Sessions. Upcoming Saturday, you'll have another Saturday Sessions and a couple more videos. And I'll try to have the streaming setup video up next week as well. All right. Thank y'all to the chat. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you tune into my homie Mixmaster G tomorrow, who'll be live with his AMA. And I'll have Mixmaster G on this show next week so we can talk about his record box collection tool, his new tool that will help you sort out your music collection. You just have to do it through Rekordbox, find all the duplicates and all that stuff. But we'll have him on to explain all the features and what it does. And I'll test it this week, so I'll have some questions as well. I'll make the announcement during the week, and I'll leave a place where you can already ask questions in advance. All right, so make sure you follow me on Instagram for that, DJ TLM. All right, G Kinney, I see your ask, but I'm ending the stream here. The simple answer just for you is, because you asked how do you come up with your sets, I play freestyle, so I don't come up with sets. I just make sure I bring the appropriate music for whatever gig I'm playing, and then I read the crowd. Right? That's it, y'all. See y'all next time. Thanks again for tuning in, chiming in.